Manager, Amber Blake. And in this program, we take a look at the status of our community related to the coronavirus emergency. What has happened in the past week and what we can expect moving forward. I'd like to begin each show by thanking all of you for staying home. I'd like to thank our government employees, city, county, and state, as well as our first responders, medical, police, fire, 911, emergency managers, hospital staff, PIOs, and restaurants and small businesses that are essential to our community that have stayed open and provided service to our community. These individuals have stayed at work for you, so please stay at home for them. Joining me this week via virtual connections so that we can maintain our social distancing are Durango 9R Superintendent Dan Snowberger, Dean Brookie, Mayor Pro Tem for the Durango City Council, La Plata County Commissioner Clyde Church, Chuck Stevens, La Plata County Manager, Leanne Jalan, Executive Director of San Juan Basin Public Health. I'd like to begin with asking Dan Snowberger if he could give us an update from the 9R School District perspective.
Thanks, Amber, and just a huge thank you to our parents and our community for working with us as we transition to this distance learning model. For those of you who haven't heard, the governor has extended the closure of school through April 30th. During this closure, it's important that we recognize it's not our intent to overwhelm families. We know everyone's experiencing their own stresses based on our social distancing requirements, but we do want to make sure that we keep our kids academically engaged during this time. We really encourage parents to communicate with their teachers and their school leaders about workload, and if we're finding that it's too much or too little, it's important that we keep those lines of communication open. We're working really hard on perfecting our attendance system, and that attendance system is really more about communication between home and school. So keep the feedback coming to our district about things that we can do better. This is a new process for all of us, and we appreciate your hard work in helping us make the system work. I want to also encourage folks to take advantage of our meal program. We're currently serving almost 1,000 students a day, both breakfast and lunch. And those are available at all of our elementary school sites from 11 to 1, as well as a number of remote bus stop locations. All of that information can be found on the Durango Schools website under our meal program. There's a button right on the front of the page that'll make it very easy for you to access. And this is for any child, ages 0 to 18. So you don't have to be a 9R student. If you have a child and that lunch could be helpful to you, please do take advantage of it. We do ask that you reserve by Saturday for the following week, and all of that information is on our website. You can also call 970-259-1630, extension 2041, and leave that information letting us know how many children will be picking up lunch or breakfast. And finally, I do want to let the community know we are running a child care program for our healthcare workers and our first responders. We recognize that you have an important job for all of us, and we're trying to help you by providing this program at Needham Elementary between 7:30 and 4:30 during the day. For more information, again, you can visit our durangoschools.org/childcare/website and get more information. But we do want to make sure that we're supporting our community. And again, just thank you, everyone. As Amber said, we really appreciate the social distancing happening in our community. That will help us get over this sooner. So thanks again, and thank you, Amber, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you very much for informing our community about the child care program. I do know that that is a definite need for our healthcare and emergency response workers, so thank you to 9R School District for that. Moving on, I would like to see if Councilor Mayor Pro Tem Dean Brookie can provide us an update from the Durango City Council.
Thank you. I just want to thank everyone for continuing social distancing during this, especially during this next critical week on the curve. This past week, I've noticed that a significant increase in compliance with social distancing in our community as more of our friends, neighbors, and family have been infected. I'd like to remind everybody that at this time, city parks, open space, and trails are open. The skate park, playgrounds, and picnic areas are closed. The city will continue to work with San Juan Basin Health for recommendations for our community. we'll have an update from Leanne on that. I want to thank city staff, especially essential workers and our administrative leaders who are working diligently to clean up our community, continue to clean up our community, and those administrative folks that are working to understand the impacts to our community, both physically and financially. I'd like to remind everybody that spring cleanup is still a go, and you can find that schedule and what can and cannot be accepted at durangogov.org/cleanup. It is starting Monday, April 6th, and the city workers will be protected. And maybe you should take time to reflect on what will be important to you or not in your life as a consumer as you extend post-COVID, as you make that pile in your alley, and we're looking forward to continuing to clean up our community. That said, really want to look forward to this next week, continue to social distance, and hopefully we can minimize that curve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. Commissioner Church, do you have comments for our community?
Yes, good morning, La Plata County. Thank you for all joining us to hear an update about our community's response to the COVID-19 outbreak. This has been a very challenging time for all of us. I just want to thank everyone for following Governor Polis's stay-at-home order and limiting your activity to only those essential tasks. I know it's difficult to make such a dramatic shift, but we also know that staying at home and practicing social distancing are two effective ways of slowing the spread of the COVID-19. We have a close-knit and caring community. We're also showing it by hunkering down, staying at home, and finding creative ways to stay connected with one another without putting each other at risk. This is a great opportunity to use your electronic communications and all of the apps that are out there on your cell phone and computers. So please keep up these good practices and follow the guidance that our partners at the San Juan Basin Health are issuing to keep our families and our communities safe through this difficult time. I would also like to add that behind the scenes, there is a great deal of activity in the economic development and finance community. Region 9 Economic Development, SBA, Department of Local Affairs are all working with the Chamber and other groups around the county to bring funding into the county from the programs that have been passed recently by Congress. So please stay at home. If you have to go out, practice safe distancing. San Juan Basin Health has issued a suggestion that you wear a mask. Everyone wear a mask out, and that's very important. It will help reduce the chances of becoming infected. So thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you, Commissioner Church. So I'd like to thank our electeds for their updates to the community and move on to Chuck Stevens, our county manager. Chuck, are there anything interesting that you'd like to tell our community or provide an update with what's been happening at La Plata County?
Sure. Thanks, Amber. I'd like to start by saying that first and foremost, the county continues to deliver services to the citizens of La Plata County. Every single day that goes by, we get a little bit better. We refine our processes and our procedures, and every day gets a little more effective in our service delivery. So if you need a marriage license, or if you need to visit our Human Services Department for food assistance or for Medicaid, Adult Protective Services, Child Protective Services, we are still open for business, and we're getting better and better every single day at service delivery. So that's the most important takeaway for today. The other thing I'd like to comment on is we fully understand and empathize with everyone in our community. We recognize that this is unprecedented and that this is a very stressful time. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of uncertainty. But I would just like to assure everyone in our county that there are teams of individuals and organizations working around the clock, behind the scenes, to do everything that we can to help us get through this crisis and emerge on the other side and return to normal as quickly as possible. Not just City of Durango or the 9R and the school districts or public health that you see represented here, but all the municipalities, Ignacio, Bayfield, our partners in Pagosa Springs and Archuleta County, our healthcare workers, the first responders. There are teams of organizations and people that are working very hard every single day to make sure that we not only get through the crisis period that we're facing in the next few weeks, but then come out on the other side as resilient as this community has always been and has proven to be. That's all I have for today, Amber. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chuck. Leanne, I have a few questions for you that I think our community will be interested in. Would you mind starting out with some current statistics, please?
Sure. I can give some statewide stats, and then I'll give some local stats. And I'm going to start by saying that testing has been extraordinarily limited across the nation, across Colorado, and locally. So our statistics are always, they're only as good as the testing that we have. So about 20,000 people have been tested across the state of Colorado. We have about 4,000 positive cases in Colorado. Again, if we tested more, we know that number would be much, much higher. What we do know is we're just getting close to about 100 deaths across the state of Colorado. This is really, a hard piece of this. Yesterday, there was an announcement that a 41-year-old sheriff's deputy in another county was reported as a fatality for this. So this is starting to really, it's not starting to, it's been really real, but it's hitting home for the whole state that this is big, and none of us can, sit back and say it's not coming to someone close to us. Locally, we're tracking 29 positive cases. That went up from 5. So the day before yesterday, we were at 24. As of yesterday, we were at 29 here in La Plata County, and we have 1 case in Archuleta County.
Thank you. Wow, 100 deaths across the state is really significant.
The number's actually, it's 97, but I was wrong, so I just want to be clear.
Okay, well, still a significant number. So I think it's really important that we, it sounds like, realize that the testing is short, and so this virus is very likely more widespread than we understand. So we do have our second positive case at the City of Durango, and to me, that means that this social distancing is critical, because we know if the R0 is 3, 4, whatever it is, if we can truncate the spread of the virus at one person, that could save lives, even just preventing one individual from getting the disease. So can you talk a little bit more about social distancing and why this is so important and how we can continue to truncate the spread?
Yeah, I think I think it's really important that every time we do this, we review what's important in social distancing and how we do it. But before I get into how, I just want to kind of follow on to what you're saying and talk about why we do it. So I think as, our electeds described and as Chuck described for La Plata County, governments still have to provide essential services. And it sounds like, the City of Durango is also committed to and has requirements to provide essential services. And the problem with this is that folks that are out doing essential services, they're working for the community, working for all of us, and everybody's health is on the line and our lives are on the line. So those of us that can work from home and practice social distancing and do all of the right things are the only people that can keep everybody else safe. Everybody cannot be sent home from work because there are healthcare workers, there are first responders, there are government services. Dan Snowberger described how 9R is keeping daycare open so that some of these people can go to work, but that means that there are employees going to daycare. So we all have to take this social distancing so seriously. So I can, review what it is. It is, if you can stay home, you stay home. If this is not a game to figure out like, okay, what can I get away with, right? It's stay home. If you're not essential and you're not doing something that somebody listed here today, you shouldn't be doing it. If you do have to go out, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands for 20 seconds, right? I'm going to do the demonstration. Get in here and wash your hands like this. Get your wrists, 20 seconds of washing your hands we all have lots of extra time on our hands, so we can all get really good at this. Keep your distance from other people, 6 feet, right? You should never be. We're all well more than 6 feet apart from each other right now. We're miles apart from each other. We've figured out how to do a community update many more than 6 feet away from each other, right? And then the last recommendation is you can cover your face. We don't want you using a medical grade mask. We want to save those masks for people in the medical profession. But the rest of us, when we go out, we can use do it yourself face coverings. Cover your face, cover your mouth, cover your nose, and protect your droplets from infecting others and others' droplets from infecting you. These measures is how we will keep people safe. And the other really important thing about face coverings are, don't think, okay, now that my face is covered, I can stand closer to someone, or they can't hear me because we both have our face covered, so let's lean in and get closer than 6 feet. We are still doing 6 feet distancing. We are still not gathering in groups, and we're still practicing everything else, but now we're doing it with our face, with our mouths and our nose covered. And I'm sorry to hear that, the City of Durango has employees testing positive. It's not surprising. It's likely that every employer in town has more positive cases than they know. It's just that we simply don't have the testing.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Leanne. So I just want to touch on the face covering. So ski season just ended. If you have a buff in your ski bag, throw the buff on over your head. It'll protect your neck, but you can pull it up. So buffs, neck warmers, bandanas, homemade masks, not the surgical, not the N95. Save those for our medical workers, first responders, critical folks that are out there that need those. And then, so really any piece of fabric that can cover your nose and mouth will work. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. We recommend cotton, but, we recommend exactly what you're saying, which is a do-it-yourself mouth and nose covering. And we definitely do not recommend using medical, just like you said. So you've gotten it exactly right. We need to save medical for our healthcare workers and our first responders, but the rest of us can all, and maybe next week we'll do a demonstration of what it looks like.
Great, thank you. And then I just wanted to kind of reinforce what you had said about staying at home. Our officers out on the street reported back to me earlier this week that we have seen an uptick in traffic since Monday. So this week compared to last week, we are seeing more people head out on the roads. Again, we are not talking average daily traffic counts. This is just a perception of what they're seeing. But if you don't have that, if you don't have an essential trip, then please do stay home. Going out for a drive just to drive around I know it's nice to get out of the house, but that's really not an essential trip. But again, Leanne, do you have any other pieces before I head into the city's update?
No, I agree with everything that you're saying. It sounds like there's some mixed reports about how good we are at complying with stay-at-home orders. I'm just going to reiterate what everybody here has said. These are unprecedented times. We don't know how good we are at stay-at-home orders, right? We're all doing really creative, different things to maintain business, right? I mean, our 9R, Dan is describing, we have to get really creative on how we educate kids and how we make sure families are fed. Right? And all of our governments are saying we have to get really creative for how we perform services that people rely on. We're working on these problems every single day. And at the same time, each individual has a responsibility to comply and stay home. And it does not surprise me that we will see kind of waves of better compliance and then less good compliance, because this is new and this is different. We've never been asked to do this together, as a community, as a culture before. We're going to learn how to do it together, because it's going to become really clear that this is right now the only tool we have. And just doing this once a week and having this reminder, let's do this, let's do it together, it's the most important thing. So thank you. Thank you for hosting this, Amber.
Of course. Thank you, Leanne. So on to my community update. The City of Durango is continuing operations just like La Plata County. continuing every day, trying to find more effective and efficient ways to do things to ensure that your trash is picked up, your recycling is picked up, you still have clean water coming out of your faucet, you can flush your toilets. Our officers are out there doing bike patrols. I think it's important to know that we are listening when we get feedback from the public. When you report information of where you're seeing folks congregate, officers are going out and providing education just to make sure that folks understand that it's not okay to congregate. We don't want groups of people hanging out in the park. The parks are open. However, it is not so that we can go hang out together. Our open space is open, our trails. We are encouraging folks to get out there for mental health, but please do everything you can to maintain that social distance. I received a call yesterday from Tom Stradicus, and Fort Lewis campus has signs posted that it's closed. There were some folks up there playing some frisbee golf in some larger groups. So this is, again, is a preventative measure. We want to make sure that, we are practicing that social distancing, and I know it's very, very hard. So thank you to all of you that are home and doing what you need to do to keep our community safe. And then finally, we will be having our city council meeting at the standard time, 6:30 p.m. Virtually. And for any interested public out there, we will be taking public comment via email. So we have an email address set up, publiccomment@durangogov.org. That's going to be listed on our agenda document and on the city's website. So moving forward in these virtual meetings, at this point, all of the public comment that we'll be taking will be via email address, and for our advisory boards, there's an email address that will go out when the agenda posts, and those can also be found on our website as well. So I know this emergency has been very tough on all of us, and it continues. It's been especially difficult to our business community, and in particular, our robust restaurant establishments. So food is essential. If you have the opportunity and the means to shop local and go buy some food to eat for dinner downtown, dial the restaurants up and they'll bring you your food to your car. You can pick it up on the sidewalk. And we know that many of our businesses have had to lay off staff. So to help stop the spread of COVID-19, but we are doing what we can. We're open for business. We hope that if you have suggestions, you can email them to us. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for this community update on COVID-19. Stay calm, stay well, and please stay tuned for updates. So thank you.
Thank you, Amber.